So the ANC's alliance partner says it's ready to fight back against state capture and corruption. The SACP and the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation have just been holding a briefing on how they say they want to protect the country's democracy. The organizations say the democracy of this country is under threat from certain individuals allegedly benefiting from state capture and corruption. Attending that briefing for us has been ENCA reporter Govan Whittles. Govan joining us live now. Govan, what are the main takeaways from that briefing?
Well, there will be a rally on Sunday, Tembekile. That's when the host of organizations which have supported the statement by the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation and the South African Communist Party will be outlining their program to confront what they call a fight back. Essentially, this is about who they say the benefactors of state capture fighting back against the project to clean up the state and essentially undermining commissions such as the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. They've identified the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, the PIC Commission, and of course the SARS Commission as being three commissions which have led the fight against state capture, but say we're now confronted by a fight back by the benefactors of those that still remain active, the South African Communist Party and Kathrada Foundation and other organizations such as Amnesty International, Freedom Under Law, KSAC, and a host of others are saying. But let me get into this interview with the Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, Solly Mapaila. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Could you just outline what you mean by confronting the fight back and what it is that you intend to do?
This is a program to fight those who are fighting the frontline soldiers in the fight against corruption and state capture. We have seen an organized system launched against individuals who are in the forefront of fighting corruption, organized whether through ordinary offices, including abuse of the office of the public protector, the shenanigans in parliament, what you can see coming now as a new narrative in the media, basically creating an impression that the fight against corruption cannot succeed and people giving up. But we're trying to show that the Zondo Commission has been successful and it has exposed the deep malice in our society, particularly regarding corruption and state capture. And therefore, the nullification of that process has gained momentum. And that is why organizations and individuals, including journalists, who have been vociferous and clear about what they think are people involved in corruption, have been targeted, besmirched, even threatened, their lives threatened, like Ms. Karima Brown at one point, and others, Feriel Hafeji and others. So it's a systematic process to try and roll back the achievements over the last few years, since particularly the Nasrec conference of the ANC and later on the removal of President Zuma as President of the Republic.
There are a number of issues which you've raised in the statement. I'll just try to touch on four of them. Let's begin with the appearance of former President Jacob Zuma at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. You've described his allegations that former Minister Ngwako Ramatlhodi and former Minister Siphiwe Nyande were spies as reckless and irresponsible. What's your take on the way that the President approached his testimony and those remarks regarding the covert intelligence agencies?
We thought that he largely predicated his input on conspiracy theories without facts and disparaging remarks against some of our prominent individuals like Comrade General Nyanda and Comrade Ngwako Ramatlhodi. All of them, we hold them in high esteem as a party and as a movement. We think they've given our country great contribution and sacrifice in the war for liberation. And for him to come out in that manner was his lowest point for me at the commission. But of course, the fact that he could not respond to a number of simple questions, but that's a legal technicalities that we don't want to get involved in. All we want to say is that there should be no diversion from the real reasons why he ultimately went there, because we led the process to expose those who were capturing the state and therefore getting state tenders through their proximity to political office, and they used his name, and we told him about that. He didn't do anything about it. That's why we went public and also called for the commission of inquiry to be set up.
You said in the press briefing that the contents of the meeting that was held at a Durban hotel, where we know the former president and the current Secretary General of the ANC, Ace Magashule, were present, are currently being implemented. Let me ask it more directly. Do you believe that former President Jacob Zuma is part of the fight back by the benefactors of state capture against the cleaning up of the government?
At least the mobilization is around him. There's no doubt about that. On the one side, particularly from within the movement, is the center that coalesced those forces. On the one hand, you'll see the mobilization, say for instance the attack on Comrade PG, is largely, and the support on by some of the forces, including the EFF in this regard, of the public protector. It's largely based much on what they will lose if, for instance, the matter of the SARS crisis is handled proper. At least from the side of the public protector. So the benefactors, that side, will be your Mazotis and them. But the political role players, or the beneficiaries, in this case, would have been people like the EFF, the organization, and Julius Malema, who benefited from Mazoti during his tax crisis with SARS.
Lastly, then, what do you want the ANC to do in response to the testimony of the former president regarding the intelligence agencies and accusations of spies?
We think that there should be an internal process within the ANC, but obviously President Zuma should give proof. And of course, we think it's unfair what happened to these two comrades, what he said, because as president, that also appointed them to senior political offices, then there must be something shady why he would appoint people that he knows are spies in senior political office. But knowing their role, we don't actually believe him.
Thank you so much. That's the Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, Solly Mapaila, speaking to us about the contents of this statement and that rally, of course, coming up on Sunday. They mentioned a number of other issues, of course, calling for multi-party cooperation in Parliament when it comes to a probe into the conduct of the public protector, also saying that Parliament should be restored as an institution with credibility. We'll have more from this statement as well as some of the other organizations throughout the day.